Morning, Adam Taxin here in St. Petersburg, Florida, Vinoy Park, in the city's northeast, old northeast downtown area. Really quite beautiful. I'm gonna not do the tripod thing today. I'm actually gonna walk around and show you what should be a very nice sunrise in about 8-9 minutes. Enough of me. And this is Vinoy Park right here. Really particularly nice downtown area. Florida has a lot of places, but this is exceptional. The Vinoy Hotel is back there somewhere, where a lot of teams play when they play the Rays when they come into town. My brother actually got married there about 5 years ago, and I'm bummed to say that while anything can happen in the next 7-8 minutes, when I arrived here about 10-15 minutes ago, it looked like we were going to have a particularly beautiful sunset. The dawn colors, sunrise, the dawn colors were gorgeous, but we seem to have gotten a cloud covering since then. This is Tampa Bay in the background, facing out toward, I guess if you go to the East Bay, that's Apollo Beach maybe, if you go directly east, a place called Ruskin. But I mean, you're going to get a good view just from me walking around here. I will talk about the news a little bit, but you know, I'm not going to obsess about that. It's going to be what I do on these sunset reports, the purpose of which really is giving you something to look at while I talk about information, just dealing with the whole way news and information is presented today. Everything's changed so much just in the last year. You're probably getting hot. The view. Oh, we're still on. You know what? I got to do a little something here. That was terrible. Very unprofessional. I'm going to turn on my jetpack for a second as we walk around. It'll make things easier to connect. That is, I think, the Dolly Museum over there. Oh, my finger. It's just a nice morning walk at the time in which sunset would occur. Get the jetpack going here. What a view. Ah, man, I wish I'd taken a picture. Showed you what you're missing out on, because it's really particularly beautiful. But a walk by the waterfront isn't too bad. I think we'll just go up this pier here, see what we see. That's an extension of the city park. What is it, Bayside Park, whatever. We got the jetpack. Have to set it up. Switch to me around there. You appreciate the view of something other than me more. Some buildings there. Can't believe I even woke up in enough time to do this. Let's get you the walk, and then maybe I'll talk about Milo, which seems to be the story of the day. I don't know if it's a really important story, if it was all planned in advance, but that seems to be what people are talking about, particularly on the conservative side. Hey, turn it around now. Reconnect. Okay, hold on. One sec, I gotta do this. Let's do this walk. Then I'll talk about the most recent stories on thegatewaypundit.com, which I use as a sort of foundation for talking about the stories. It's comprehensive. I'm not going to say it's always the greatest journalism in the world, but Jim Hoff does a pretty good job. You can see downtown St. Pete there. It's not the traditional downtown. It's kind of weird with the Bay Area. I mean, Tampa Bay area. It's definitely very spread out. There are a couple centers of gravity, the two biggest cities being Tampa and St. Petersburg, but there's also Clearwater. You pronounce it Dunedin. It's not like a traditional city such as maybe Philadelphia, where you have a downtown, a clear downtown, and then everything else. There are a lot of centers of gravity here. People running in the morning. What museum is that? One of these, oh, that's the Museum of Fine Arts. That's where I think my brother's rehearsal dinner was. Yeah, 5.5 years, I should remember. Not that long ago. And the Dolly Museum is somewhere over here. It would be over there. You can see the skies changing, but not much. At least it's a nice view. I guess that's not really a traditional yacht, but when I was in Miami over the weekend, I had a long walk back to where I was staying on Friday night after going to a Shabbos dinner, and they had the boat show there, which is particularly extravagant. Not so much the people going there paying to walk on all the boats, but all the boat companies show their finest yachts. And man, you should see these things. I mean, these are the finest yachts in the world, just going on and on and on. I mean, it must have gone on for a mile. Nothing but yachts in the Intracoastal Waterway up there. Now, that is the Museum of Fine Arts right there in St. Petersburg, downtown. No cloud cleared. Oh well. Find a comfortable spot. Walk you all the way down to that park up there, and then we'll talk about the news, which I have here. Maybe at least the clouds will clear a little, so we'll see the sun peek out at some point. Might not be at 7:02, which may well have happened by now. I don't have the clock in front of me. But at least you're seeing downtown St. Pete, which isn't really that... People don't really come to Tampa Bay that much for the winter because it's just not as warm as if you go directly south. In Florida, the weather really follows the pattern. Now, look how nice that bathroom is, by the way. This is just a bathroom. Well, part of it's a bathroom. Women's room right there. You don't see that in a lot of cities. The further south you go, the warmer it is, point blank. So if you're looking for warmth and you want to be on the west coast of Florida, you just go to Naples or Fort Myers areas, or maybe even Sarasota, about 45 minutes south of here. It's just a little warmer than this area, which is a very pleasant place, but you can't guess that you can just go to the beach on every day in February. We're talking, you know, maybe low 70s rather than mid to high 70s on a typical day here. Look at some of these boats. There's a sailing school there. Chances are now I don't have a view of the sunrise and the clouds will clear and I'll miss it. But so be it. So be it. Had some fun yesterday. I did not do a sunset report. I was catching up with one of my old next door neighbors at the Phillies spring training complex for a while. We did a catch up. Unfortunately, the sound didn't work all that well. This is the St. Petersburg Museum of History we're coming up to here. Fighting for the Right to Fight, African American Experiences in World War II. Good title on that one. Birds making some noise. Oh, look at this. World's largest collection of autographed baseballs. Who knew? Little Cooper staff. Good timing because I think they're more, aside from Phoenix, where I think pretty much maybe it's all 15, I think it's 15 teams in Arizona, 15 teams in Florida. I think pretty much all the Arizona teams play in the Phoenix metropolitan area. In Florida, they're a little more spread out. They don't all play in the Tampa Bay area or the greater Tampa Bay or the much greater Tampa Bay area. But most of them do. There are some teams, like the Mets are in Port St. Lucie. I forget where Miami and Tampa Bay actually do their spring training. Maybe Tampa Bay just does it at home. Miami does it in Jupiter, I think. And there's someone else on the East Coast. But for the most part, the baseball teams play their spring training games on the west coast of Florida, really in this area. I was in Dunedin last night, and they have a big sign saying that it's the Toronto Blue Jays spring training home, and I was in Clearwater, where the Philadelphia Phillies play. I just forget off the top of my head which team plays where. We have a trolley station there. And coming up to this park, then we will talk about the news of the day. I seem to have misplaced my tripod, so there is an ulterior motive with this walk right now. But I do have my notes. I use my old iPhone, the iPhone 5, not 6, as my sort of teleprompter. But I'll be able to do that. I just won't appear on camera while doing so, because I can't hold the thing at the right angle and read from the teleprompter at the same time. You don't need to see me all the time, you know. Effectively, this is like a radio show with good pictures. But that's part of my general thought about what's going on with news and information right now. We have, on one hand, the mainstream media, so-called mainstream media, just being so discredited by Trump and people just seeing the realities there. And you have a lot of people who are putting in, for the most part, half-assed efforts in news gathering and editing, saying they're the alternative to the fake news, but not really doing their homework, in my opinion, the way they should, and giving you too much of their opinion and providing content as if they're enlightening you, which I don't claim to do. I try to pull the best information that people, often a lot wittier than I am in their writing, put together. So I see myself more as an editor than a commentator. So I can't help but interject my opinion every now and then. We're heading up this way now. I am not going to get in the habit, as I get the hang of this, which is not quite yet, of saying hi to whoever you know, comes in. But I do see Lauren Casper is here. Hey, Lauren. And give me a good comment or question about what's going on in the world, because I know you work in that political world, if you're still watching, but I see you up there. As we head to one of those benches up there, and we'll at least get a nice sky. I almost feel good about not having my tripod out, because the sky teased me the way it did. It really was beautiful 20-30 minutes ago. We're gonna get some cute dogs. Lee Chang, you're in Southern California. What's up? You're up early today. Hard-working guy, clearly. They don't get such good sunrises out in Southern California. You're in the LA area where he is. I think he's in Pasadena. You pretty much limited to the sunsets, but you can, over water at least, but you get some, I think if you go a little bit south of LA, Lee, feel free to comment about that or anything right now. You can get a good sunrise too. What is it? What's the name of that beach? Not Seal Beach. That's in Orange County. I've been there. But the area, is it San Pedro? You go a few miles south of LAX and you get that. So when we get to this, oh, we got a little something. Got a little something emerging over there. I may have had the angle wrong. Yesterday it was sort of, I was looking slightly to my left. Here I'm looking slightly to my right. What do you know? That is Tampa Bay you're looking at right now. Look at this. We are, what time is it right now? Sunrise was scheduled at 7:02, and the sun is up there. It's just being blocked by that cloud. Yeah, 5 minutes after the official sunrise. I'm gonna sit down, say hi once more, and then go through the news of the last, when was the last time I checked in on that? It was around noon yesterday. The story's through noon. Let's head over there. Lauren, Lee, whoever is watching live, feel free to comment as I keep an eye on the sun. And I'll say hi real quick. And we're going to get to the headlines as provided by the Gateway Pundit since noon. Me, I'm still here. Okay. Since noon yesterday, these are the headlines according to the Gateway Pundit. Again, still getting the hang of all this, but let's get a closer shot if we can. I think that's the best we can do. Oh, there we go. Much better, isn't it? Perfect. As you look at that, and I try to hold this as steady as possible, given that I seem to have lost my tripod, you have Tucker Carlton defends President of the United States Trump on Sweden remarks. there is a video with that. You know, self-explanatory. I'll get to what he actually said shortly. LA native Hispanic Trump supporter blasts sanctuary city for protecting illegals. Well, you know, not every Hispanic, far from it, has those opinions. Is pro-illegal. Far from it, as it said. And I don't know why this is particularly noteworthy, but there is a video there. A big story, not going to affect anything globally, but Milo Yiannopoulos disinvited from CPAC after Never Trumpers release sordid audio. Milo breaking, Russian envoy to UN dies suddenly in New York. I've not seen much of a follow-up to that. I don't know, maybe it was natural causes. The story, Milo releases second apology after CPAC cancels speech. And you have more recently than that. TSA fail. Passengers at JFK go through security checkpoint without being screened. Had yesterday being Washington, yesterday, well, it used to be Washington's birthday holiday, but I think it's the 22nd actually. But on President's Day, so-called President's Day, you have this story, Not My President protests erupt across the U.S. on President's Day. You had then breaking story, Trump taps Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster as new National Security Advisor. And who knows, this might be a situation in which liberals and probably never-Trumpers in particular should be careful what they wish for. He may well be more rigorous than General Flynn, though that's hard to believe, but I don't know much about that story yet. And of course you have Muslims chanting Allahu Akbar at the Farrakhan speech in Detroit. A report, Iranian dissidents are demanding investigation into the Islamic regime's secret U.S. lobbying network. And they're piling on with Milo Yiannopoulos. Is it Yiannopoulos or Yiannopoulos? I sometimes say Milo rather than Milo. That's clearly wrong, but I think it's Milo Yiannopoulos. And you have another thing related to that story and piling on. Simon & Schuster cancels Milo Yiannopoulos book contract after shocking auto released by Never Trumpers. Then Morning Joe, well, why that's a headline, I don't know. Jim Hoff, tell me why you even care, why you don't just ignore that. But the sun's really not happening. Morning Joe, Trump's criticism of media will cause terror attack because his supporters are mentally, quote, unbalanced. Then from the world of higher education, you have Ohio State lectures students on Islamophobia just 3 months after Islamic terrorist attack. And that's about the Somalian who went on a stabbing spree there. You have an LA police officer shot dead by gang member 2 weeks after his release from prison with a video. Again, this is all from thegatewaypundit.com. And that is the gang member who was released from prison 2 weeks beforehand, not the police officer. Paper. After 17 years in power, Putin has a $200 billion fortune, 58 planes and helicopters, and 20 palaces and country retreats. Man, if that's actually true, you actually probably could support Hillary and be not that much of a hypocrite supporting that, because as much of a schnorrer as the Clintons are, they're probably not quite to that level. 200 billion is a lot of money. Rumblings. Liberals had huge scorched earth plan to take down Milo. Never Trumpers may have paid for research. I totally believe that. Then, continuing with Milo, which certainly doesn't affect your daily life much. Milo announces a press conference in New York City, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Salon removes pro-pedophilia articles written by Todd Nickerson from its website. Probably a good move. You know, there's the issue of what are we calling pedophilia? You know, you're not a child after you reach puberty, and people throw around the term. It's like with Pizzagate. They were talking about how Podesta's brothers had pictures of nude teenagers up in his house. What is it, Tony Podesta? But were they 18 and 19-year-olds? I don't know, it's weird no matter what to make their guests look at that, but you know, these things are thrown around loosely. does Gone with the Wind provide and promote pedophilia? Because after all, Scarlett has sex early in the movie because she's married and has a baby. So actually, no, in the movie, she doesn't have a baby early. In the book, they get rid of 2 of her children by different daddies that she was married to. And but she was 16 years old when she gets married the first time, so who knows? Revealed Never Trump group that took out Milo is Evan McMullen campaign site. Not funny. Sarah Silverman defends her tweets about child molestation and children's private parts. And you know what? The Sun really makes me mad for teasing me here. I'm going to just continue this later. I'm going to do a midday report, probably from the beach, maybe in Bradenton. The sun just is not happening, and the clouds are covering it. Yeah, it's peeking out right there, but I think it's a big tease, and I don't think we're going to get any better than this. So let's call it a morning. I want to go get some coffee, and I will continue the conversation about Milo. There are a lot of notes I want to go through, but I'm going to do that around the middle of the day, which is around 12:40. That's, I guess, the exact time between sunrise and sunset here. And I'm going to be a little loose with when I do my midday reports, but I'm going to try to get it right today. Actually do it at midday. And Milo's press conference is not till 3 p.m. If there's a really huge news story, don't come here. Go watch CNN or Fox News. I'm merely a commenter, processing information for the most part, overwhelmingly from other people, and trying to give sources where I can. So thanks for tuning in. Yeah, that's as good as we're going to do. Thanks for watching. More later.